Divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their free national constitution, are of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the free national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and to go back to that state of mind of their forefathers, divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive the divine right as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine and national movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into the light. Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standards and power
This one I
that makes
put at
the
his.
man and a nation. You just mute, have to mute somebody. Without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have true wealth. Now I'm hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me in my great missionary work because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. I love my people, and I desire their unity and mine back to their own national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Turks, Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. And all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standard of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their and name, trust upon issue and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro deludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word color deludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon the earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizen of this day. Through your free national name, you were known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by the said national government in which they live. The 14th Amendment brought the North and South in union, placing the Southerners, who were at that time without power, with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was enforced in 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment for the salvation of our people. So, There isn't but one supreme issue for my people to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by my citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come, because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people, and this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do hereby believe that this administration of government being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way. And without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorment, in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they fought the Southerner for all these great misuses. But I've traveled in the South and I've examined conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things that bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives a life. And I hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into the marvelous light. From the Prophet, Islam. Divine Constitution of Moorish America. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizen of Moorish America. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended into his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that harms his brother or sister, because Allah is love. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey thereby. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folk, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. This is a new era of time now, and all men must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This is the divine covenant This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, the guidance of his father God, Allah. Moors are men, upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the prophet to a destiny which is uncertain nor unknown. They are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It is therefore folly at its greatest height for smelly culprits with insidious plans to invade such a realm. They try and try, but their own bad planning bring wrath upon their heads like the sword of old Damascus had. Intrigue and scurrilous cunning find a difficult path to travel within the ranks of the Moors. This is so because the Moorish movement has been well planned by Prophet Noble Jew Ali, whose latent powers are abundant, unknown, and may be called into action as a matter of defense at any moment. Prophet Noble Jew Ali knows the people within his ranks. And keep in mind, I wanted to say that before I got into this passage. This is 1920s Noble Jew Ali speaking to the people. When I get done reading this, you're gonna see how this it still applies today, because it's the vision, it's what he saw. You know, he's seen traitors amongst the situation. He's seen COINTELPRO. He's seen the movement get infiltrated. So certain things that he put on public record, his oral statements. So let me get back into the reading. Just wanted to digress. So Prophet Noble Jew Ali knows the people within his ranks who are interested. They are the vanguard of the movement as the Moorish hordes increase in America. All the Moors, all of the Moors are active, not passive. A member's interest can only be in one direction. And having traveled over the road years before the prophet, knows here every member along the road. A few feet below is another road where schemers work, where traitors grin, and culprits bask in the sun. They think they're on the same road with the true Moors. The Moors are high above on a pinnacle where they might view the destructionists as they fall for the last time and their bones bleach in the sultry midday sun. Hungry scavengers flying high catch scent, devour and leave, crying out, caveat emptor, cast out the dead carcass. The Moors high above see the plotters, purveyors, the worst that exists, hurl themselves downward by their own works as a hawk waits. So at this time, as we know, heavy infiltration, um, caveat emptor. These are things that Noble Jew Ali instructed to make sure you read this. Make sure you read this in every meeting. Why it's important to hear Noble Jew Ali's literature, because once again, for me, it's like the mind frame. You see where the mind was at, and you can use that as a measuring stick for today. What's a sign of what's a sign that Moors are really in this for the right reason? Classic example I give: Chinatown, Koreatown, Little Bangladesh. It's looking like that, or it's trending towards that. It's that simple. People willing to work together. They feel the love amongst each other, right? We have our temples to get sharp on international law and things of that nature, history, our own culture, so we can be proper ambassadors. But outside of that, it's about brotherhood, a rapport, a kinship. How can we savvily work together to be investors amongst each other to set up businesses and things of that nature, right? So that's a sign that Moors are looking at this thing the right way. You know, trying to link up with other Moors in different areas. For think tank purposes, what can we do? How can we put our minds together? Economically, strategically, marketing wise, Once outside people see Moors uniting, more gonna show interest in what we're doing. So it's a lot of unity goes a long way. Um, Let me make sure I greeted everybody. Taja Majiel, Islam, peace and love. Who else came in? I think I greeted everybody else.
Mom or
Okay, so I know we've been covering over the last couple weeks different aspects. And I wanted to continue that wave. Um, so when we covered the Masonic lodges, we kind of got a perspective, proper perspective. We know their origin and things of that nature. But now that we're going to more in depth, at depth level, we comprehend when we say Roman, it's really Moors versus Moors, right? So we had Christian Moors in Europe. We had Moriscos, which are just Moors that were Muslim, got conquered by the Christian Moors. They practiced the Islamic culture in the house. Once they walk out the house, they pretty much acting like they're Christian. These are Moors that were Moriscos. So one of these Moriscos, we're about to go into a brother, um, brother Solomon here, Angelo Solomon. And then you're going to see as we read, he's going to be basically a servant that works his way up the ranks. He's going to end up creating Masonic lodges in Sicily, Austria, the whole nine. So the reason why we're going over this from this lens is because this is another way of showing that when we're talking about Masonic lodges, it's not blind or blue-eyed people created these institutions. Moors created these institutions, not only the signs and symbols. We're talking about Moors created the concept of even the lodge itself on another level. So let's read about Brother Angelo Solomon. So look, matter of fact, let's get a visual of the brother. See, he turbaned up. You see his garb. You see what's going on. He's Moorish attire. So my D, Angelo Solomon, make the royal Moor, the noble Moor, the princely Moor, and or the court Moor. Angelo Solomon is historically recognized as the first Moorish Mason. Matt D was born 1721. So we have a timeline, 1721. But keep in mind, Treaty of Peace and Friendship about 50 years later. Just so we can see what was going on the planet. The empire was big. Right now we're in Europe right now, talking about this brother under the jurisdiction of the British Moors, Scottish Moors, right? All right, all right. So MacD was born 1721 in present day northeastern Nigeria, northern Cameroon, called the Congo. He died on November 21st, 1796, in Vienna. He was a member of the Kanuri ethnic tribe, also called Berber. So Berber, if you look at, Berber, that's basically saying ancient Moroccans. He was from a clan or Kush, also known as the Kushite people. Most Kanaru are Muslims. Islam spread among them in the 11th century. His original name, Mahdi Make, is linked to a princely class in the Sokoto state in modern Nigeria. Mahdi spoke often of the fact that his father was the chief of his tribe. Nevertheless, Mahdi was taken captive as a child at the age of 7 and arrived in Marsilius as a servant. Solomon was sold to a Sicilian lady and family. Now, keep in mind at this time, the Sicilian family was melanated Sicilians. He was eventually transferred to the household of a Marchioness in Mesha, who oversaw his training. Out of affection for another servant in the household, Angelina, he adopted the name Angelo and chose to celebrate September 11th, his baptismal day, as his birthday. So it was also Jewish, right? Baptismal. I mean, he's considered Jewish. He entered the service of Field Marshal Prince Labowitz and the General of Austrian Army and Governor of Sicily. As a personal attendant, soldier, and confidant, there was a fashion for house Moors at this time, and Solomon was apparently an exceptional man. In 1753, he lived in Vienna, where he played an important role in the household of Prince Liechtenstein. So he was a servant, and he was doing a tour. Like you're gonna see, he was passed down to different royal families' houses, and he next to the prince and all this type of stuff of these different European noble families. Solomon was chamberlain and tutor. See, look, he was a tutor. He had all these. He was still part of the. He was a Moor. He just got his clan got conquered, and he became a Morisco. But he still had the high knowledge. He still had the high science. So that's why he became a tutor and all this type of stuff for the European government structure. He was very valuable still. He knew more science. So Solomon was chamberlain and tutor to the prince's children. He chose his name out of love of another servant girl, Angelina. In 1734, he left Prince George Christian, first von Labowitz, the imperial governor of Sicily, to continue his education. He became the prince's valet and traveling companion, and once saved the prince's life in the field of battle. After the death of the prince, he was transferred to the house of Joseph. You notice how they keep saying the house of this, the house of that. The house of Joseph. That's like saying clan or tribe of, but it's the house. Like the house of Saudi was a family of Moors, which gave rise to what you call Saudi Arabia today, for example. Um, so this house of Joseph Wenzel the First, he was the prince of Liechtenstein, where he rose to the rank of chief servant and tutor to the prince's son, Alois I. Consequently, Solomon became a member of the royal Habsburg household. A cultured man, Solomon was highly respected in the intellectual circles of Vienna and counted as a valued friend of Austrian Emperor Joseph II and Count Franz Maurice Lacy. During this time, he was reported to have learned 7 different languages, native tongue, Kanuri, or Hasiya, or Arabic, etc. Seljuk, French, Italian, English, German, Latin, and could write 3 of them fluently as well. He was also a master swordsman, a war hero, a chess specialist, a navigation expert, and a tutor for royalty. He is considered one of the most learned people of his generation, as well as one of the greatest Vienna citizens of all time. In Vienna, he was a Vienna celebrity, a dashing figure and personality who was widely admired for his handsome, fashionable Moorish attire and social grace. He was an excellent dancer and romancer at elite social affairs. Side note, Vienna at this time had many fraternal orders, including the Rosicrucian Masonic Rite, which appeared between 1770 and 1777 at Bavaria, Austria, Bohemia, and Hungary. It was first adopted by the Crescent of Three Keys, a Masonic lodge in Rosenberg in Vienna, which gave rise to the Three Swords Lodge that later became the breeding ground for the Rosicrucian Masonic Rite, which fostered alchemy. Every family member Brother Angelo Solomon belonged to was a knight of the Golden Fleece, which was founded in 1429 by Philip the Good, who was the Duke of Burgundy. In 1757, he created Masonic Rite, the Societas Rosae et Ora Crucis, which is the fraternity of Golden Rosy Cross, that had alchemists and priests learning and was composed of Rosicrucian degrees. These temples included, from 1772 to 1778, Zu Den Drie, Switzerland, or the Three Swords, in 1790, Zu Libre and Rafrit, the Love and Truth, which in English translates to Love and Truth. And from 1784, Zu Den Zibi Hiblin, which translates to the Seven Heavens, observed the rites of the Asiatic Brethren. Brother Angelo Solomon was transferred to the Prince George Christian First von Lubowitz in 1732 through 34. In November 28, 1739, Prince George was made a knight in the Order of the Golden Fleece. So the reason I wanted to cover this from this lens is so we can know that when we're looking at the Masonic lodges today, there's two things that we want to know, that we want to comprehend when we're explaining this to the people. Because remember, we're just going over this because the whole point is we're ambassadors. We're talking to the public. Fez, Turban, they got questions. They gonna come at you like, are you a Shriner? Are you part of a lodge? Because some people associate when you wear a fez with the lodge. So you want to give proper background on, no, I'm not a Masonic lodge member. I'm a Moor, but here's the background on the lodges. And that's what we're covering it. The last couple of weeks, we covered the fact how the signs and symbols in the lodge and what they talk about are derived from Moor science. That's one thing. The second level we're covering is the fact that we have Moors that knew the high science that were, like, for example, what they call Spain with after the 1490s-ish, Granada, Cordoba was captured and colonized by our Christian Moors. So the politics changed. Some of us got expelled, end up coming to New Granada, which is South America today, which is another lesson. Some of us stayed and just became Moriscos, was Christian in public. So our Moors that stayed and became Christians in public had the high science still. And they were the ones that started the Masonic lodges, that concept of illuminating some of the Romans, giving them the high information. The difference is that the Romans took the information and used it for a darker vibrational purpose. So we need to know the history and be able to explain it to the people in that type of vein. Just to separate the difference between a Moor that's fez is not marked up and some fez that they might have seen that had the moon and the star facing down and said Shriner on it and and all that type of stuff. So we got for example, Brother Aline Bay, like I was telling y'all last week. He created a body politic where it has the same order, style, and structure, but it's a Moorish, he calls it the Moorish Rite. Like, to uphold the Scottish Rite, right? To get our people that love that type of, they fascinated behind the lodge and that type of whatever. Like, okay, cool. But come to a Moorish Rite, though. Come to an organization that talk about nationality and birthrights and not teaspooning the people. Rosirius L, peace and love. Who else came in
Peace and
here?
love, brother.
All right, any thoughts on that before I move on to the next aspect of my demonstration for today? Any thoughts at all, statements?
No, it's an excellent demonstration. So, because I had to get that question a lot when I'm in the gym about being a Shriner. So, it's definitely up that alley for sure. I yield.
So, guess we can stay on this vein. Since we're on this topic. So as you can see, the brother was called a, his family line. He came from the Berber line, right? Ancient Berber. So I was talking with a brother that wanted me to bring up a timeline. So I figure I just do that since this is recorded. Just to give we were talking about Sicily and how I mentioned that it was melanated Moors in Sicily way before it was blonde or blue-eyed people, right? So here's just a timeline. We were dealing with wars between Moors that kept the ancient creed and Moors that prescribed to being Roman. So we can 499 BC, Greco-Persian War. So, like I say, the Macedonians, the Minoans, these are Moors that were commercially called Greek, right? Ultimately turned Roman. They were going to war with the people that kept the original covenant, which they're going to call people Phoenicians and Carthaginians. They call this dispute the Punic Wars. Punic is short for what they try to imply Phoenician. So Carthaginian and Phoenician, the same people. All right, so we got the Sicilian War, the second one, the third one, and you see the timeline. First Punic War. We get to 241. Now we get into Hannibal. Hannibal's father, Hannibal Bay. He was a general expert, war tactics. Get a second Punic War, third Punic War. If you take any of these wars, put them in Google, of course they're gonna bleach everybody out, but it'll give you a sense of what they called our people. You can trace it back to just the bottom line that these are Moors for, it's infighting. You know. You see when we get to
Don't
6
forget to
BC.
mention how. Don't forget to mention how they stole our technology from them same people and use it today still against us.
Right. On top of that.
All tank warfare came from elephant fighting.
Right. At this time, yeah, you'll see our Moorish generals on elephants. And even the Republican Party, they still got the elephant to this day, which represents Carthage. The republic form of government. So yeah, all this is your stuff. We need to know this so we can be competent ambassadors, speak to the public. They're gonna have questions about, it's different degrees of people that you come across too. Everybody, there's some sharp people that you just need to connect a couple of dots for them and they ready.
I have a question.
I'll go ahead, brother.
The Mithriatic Wars. They talk about there's a myth called Mithras, which is like they use it in their what do you call it, in their ceremonies. That Mithras was their like chief image symbolism, and he had a red hat. So yeah, let me see if I can pull him up. Because that might be our stuff too. I just want to be sure. And he's called the God of Light. Let me show you. I'll drop the image. He got a cap on. And I just want to make sure we on the same. Let me see. Can I drop it in the Zoom?
While you're doing that, as you can see, Yahshua ben Yosef, when he's crucified, Constantine becomes the emperor of Rome. You can put these timelines to these stories that you get in the Bible, make it more basic and bottom line, not so spooky. It's just, so when you look at our brother Yahshua, you say this is the Punic Wars. He was on the Carthaginian Phoenician side of the war, going against the Roman side, right? So when you look at it like that, it's more simple. Like, okay, So we got the Nicene Council. We got the remixing of the Bible. Let me check the chat. Okay, you put the image in the chat? Okay.
Yeah, because he got the cap on. You know how they whitewash everything, but he
Yeah,
still
yeah.
got like the cap, and it's a bull, but it's like a, I don't know if it's like a, if it's a when they mess with the symbol, like what do you call it, the Romanized version, when they try to twist the symbol because they have the bull being like killed or something. I don't know. And I know the bull, at least the horns is supposed to be, fertility. It's supposed to be like Venus, right? It's supposed to be
Yeah,
something good.
or the moon, yeah, something of that nature. But remember, I don't know if you was on a meeting a couple weeks ago where we showed the Magi, the three Magi, and I think with Cleopatra too, and her husband, how they came from the line of ancient Berbers, and the ancient Berbers was the Magi of the land, and we showed a image of the cap. As a matter of fact, the zigzag man, you look at the zigzag rolling papers, he got on the same cap. And matter
Oh
of fact,
wow.
the Albanian, some of the old Albanian armies, they had the same cap. So this is still more, it's a Moorish headdress. Um, you know, but they're called, a matter of fact, and the coat of arms of Haiti, the coat of arms of Central America,
Yeah, they
it's
have it for
the same
sure.
cap that you just showed. It's just like that. Coat of arms, you know what I mean? Nicaragua. Um, so yeah, they call that the Liberty cap. And that's just the feds, they represent the light, like you said, the symbolizing the person that has the light
Because you
bearer.
could see he pointed towards the light. Yeah, right.
Yeah. But yeah, stuff like, yeah, that's good stuff. So it's people like you just said, it's people like did what you just did. They'll have like questions like that. And we just want to be competent ambassadors. All we just showing is displaying that we know our culture within exactness. That's all we going to. This is just history of our culture. Yahshua, that's just our history. This is a history book. That's our brother. Ancient ancestor that did great work. Um, so after murdering Prophet Yahshua ben Yosef in 325 AD, the Roman Emperor Constantine called the Council of Nicaea, which authorized the Roman clergy to vote to change Yahshua's name to Jesus, the Christ, representing the peace and justice Yahshua taught. Jesus means justice and the degree of knowledge, light activation of the pineal gland, or Krishna, or Christ degree, activation of the Jewel, or the Jew he had reached. All right, so that's more just bottom line current events, explaining that to somebody versus making it all spooky. Um, These are reference point. You can reference the Nicene Council. You can look at wars and see, oh, that there were emperors. These were actual people. This is actually things that happen, right? So as we continue now, you see the Roman Constantine creates New Rome, the whole nine. Um, I don't want to go too in depth in that, but if any questions, comments, um, okay, I want to take it was another timeline.
One comment. One comment.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
found that like you said, following the wars, following the treaties, and then cross referencing like what's going on in the world at the time seems to be
Yeah.
the best method to really get your reference points to be exact. So thank you.
Oh yeah. Yes. On Bay, just DM me your email just so I can have you fresh in my message list, and I'll do that after the meeting. Um, so here's another timeline dealing with because you
So
mentioned you mentioned the bull. The brother, I think Brian mentioned the bull, and I represent Venus. So we're dealing with the six-pointed star. And last week we covered how it's not dealing with Baphomet, and brother Hassan was on here, and he was like, "Ain't that crazy?" that's the devil. And we broke all that down, how it's the light bearer. And when Venus is in this eastern farthest point in the east, it's the brightest star in the sky. So that's why they call it the light bearer or Lucifer. We broke down the compound word Lucifer, which is just light bearer in the whole nine, right? But now we're covering from the perspective of how through different time periods or civilizations of people looked at Venus. So let's look at a couple of these. So we got 3000 BC, the six-pointed star appeared in early Mesopotamian artifacts, but its specific meaning and association are not always clear. It was often used as a general symbol for star deity in Sumerian cuneiform, possible symbol of god Aki, the deity of fresh water, intelligence, and creation. Now, this is coming from like Wikipedia and that type. They summarizing it like that, but it's still enough fruit in here for us to extract. Because I do this all the time. I'm in the public. I pull up stuff real quick, and we're study Moors. We can take stuff in the fog of Wikipedia, in the fog of Google, because they're gonna like I looked at the treaty. It's gonna say the treaty between Morocco and America. And if you just look at that and don't know the real treaty, don't say it like that, it'll throw you off. It's really the treaty between the Moroccan Empire and the United States, which is a whole nother, you know what I mean? So you have to just clean some stuff up for the people real quick. And you can but you can still use this as a general springboard if you just real quick. But of course you ain't got no whiteboard, you ain't gonna pull out all the stuff right there. But it's just be competent so you can use the tools to your disposal and still prove your point right on the spot. So when I see stuff like intelligence and creation, like the brother, like we just talked about, creation is dealing with fertility. That's dealing with Venus. We're talking about what is the six-pointed star. I'm sorry. Not the six-pointed star, but Venus, dealing with the Venus in our flag. We're dealing with the creation. So now the six-pointed star, and I stand corrected. Now we're talking about the six-pointed star. So now we're talking about as above, so below. The Baphomet and the Venus, that's a five-pointed star. When we're looking at a six-pointed star, we're talking about as above, so below, which is another concept, which still dealing with fertility. Why do I say that? Because when we're looking at it from as above, so below, now we're looking at I, self, law, and master. When you go to the A pillar, you're looking at the as above, so below. Now it's two trinities. Now it's male and female, and it takes male and female for creation to happen. So if you're looking at it from that context, we're still talking about, as well as Venus is talking about fertility, we're talking about fertility still in this demonstration with the six-pointed star. Now the six-pointed star, it's called the Jewish star in some circles, the Star of David. But for the ancient mind frame of people that look at the star, as above, so below, promotes balance, mastery, right? And now that since we had this up, it's just to kind of camel back on what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, as far as angels and the seven Elohim and the seven archangels, and the seven eyes of Allah, corresponding to the Milky Way and the seven ruling planets and the energies from those planets, what they do for humans on the earth plane, and how the planets are just energies from the actual creator. And they're given that intelligence, like I gave a demonstration on fiber optics, on how it's communication and light. And so that's what we talk about the angels, which is really the angles of light that are given off by these planets, which give human beings their intelligence, impulses, characteristics, right? And we're a snapshot of those heavens when we come out of our mom's womb. So that's why in the acronym I, self, law, and master, when you go to the L pillar of Islam, it's talking about the length and angle and width of the cosmic energies that marked you. Now you have the sign that most people know about from the, most people know about it from being from a Masonic lodge or whatnot, but that's origin of it is this what we're talking about. Why is it a compass? Why are we dealing with geometry? Why are we dealing with angles? Why are we dealing with degrees? Huh. It's a reason, it's an exactness. So when we came out our mom's womb, for my example, 17 degrees in Virgo, 19 degrees in Scorpio, 20 degrees in Taurus. What does this mean? My temperance, my disposition, my demeanor, how I compute my thoughts, my impulses, my urges. I need to get in tune with, I need to know that. I need to know myself. I need to get in tune with my cosmological makeup. Peace and love, Brother Justin, Lavelle Bay. Yeah, peace and love. I think that was everybody that came in right
Peace
now.
and love. Peace and love.
Navigation on Bay. We navigating, right? So whoever hasn't seen this, I mean, I'm pretty sure most have seen this, but let's marinate on this. I, self-law master. I, from the creator of the universe, representing mother and child from hence you came. S, self. Each one of us is a trinity. Each one of us is a trinity, being the symbol of civilization. Law, the length and angle and width of cosmic energies that marked you. Your chart. Look at your chart. That's the energies that marked you. Know thyself. A, the joining of the trinities, male and female. So we're really looking at the yin and the yang, as above, so below. We're looking, these are common symbols to bring harmony and peace. The two trinities, male and female principle, the triune, which creates another I am. So to keep creating the I ams, to keep creating these vessels, man and woman got to come together. Man, woman, and child. That's what this is about. Community building. Community building. Man and woman in harmony, not at odds, not beefing with each other. Master. This being the glyph for the earth. And let's look up earth glyph. This is literally the earth. When you look up what's the sign, like we get into cosmology, there's signs and symbols for Venus. It's a sign for Mars. It's a sign for Saturn. It's a sign for Earth. This is the Earth glyph. It's going to be a cross and compass in a circle. Circle 7.
Does it? That's actually crazy because it basically means this like realm is geometrically, cosmologically. Oh my God, that's you know what that got to marinate on that.
Right? The glyph for the Earth, which we are on, and inspire to be the master navigators upon. So that's what we're here to do. Navigate. And remember, it's more science, so it's always something to be crunching data on. We can always, have data, statistics, plot, plan. Okay, if you do this, you know what I mean? In political science, it's a recipe for how communities thrive. That's why I keep bringing up Chinatown, Koreatown, Little Bangladesh. I keep bringing this up because they follow in political science. You seeing the recipe of success. You don't got to create a new wheel. You know what I mean? They're not doing all this. They're not doing all this paperwork, 7 locations, and they're not doing all that. I need to get this, and did I get a thumbprint on this? And they just working together. Period. They know they're the same people. That's the bottom line, is that part.
Question.
Right? That's line, brother.
What's
Serious.
the yes, sir. What's the 333 inside the symbols on the earth?
Oh, so we got 4 quadrants, and then remember, this is also dealing with Aries, Capricorn, Libra. I mean Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. The cardinal points or the cardinal seasons, and in between, we have three signs in each. Each sign is equated to 30 degrees each. So you have 90 degrees in each pie slice. In the 90, give you time four, give you the completion of the 360. So every quadrant, um, represent that nine, the 90 degree.
Oh, the 333 is for the
That gives you
9.
that gives you nine, which is giving you for each quadrant represent 90 degrees. Right here on the top, it said 90 degrees. So each of these quadrants represents 90 degrees, or three signs of 30 degrees, which equates to 90 degrees.
I love that breakdown too, bro. A lot of people don't actually go in on it like that. Even to expound on it, like you said, each of those 4 quadrants, they got 3 signs in each quadrant, and each of those 3 signs got 3 deacons, which gives you the 333. That's that 9 in there. So the 3 signs that's in there, each got 3 deacons in there, which correlates with 3 constellations for each one. So each sign is 10 degrees. To equal, each sign is 30 degrees, broken up into 3 10-degree deacons. And that's where that 333 comes from. So you write an exact with that being a symbol of the earth, and all of those quadrants represent how we observe the movement of the sun in the sky from the earth. So that point in the middle of the cross, in the middle of the circle, is where you would stand and observe all those signs, all those 333, those cardinal points. The center of that is where you are standing on the earth. They use
Like a
it in
wheel.
masonry. Yeah, they use it in masonry, but it's our science.
Wow.
And that's why it comes under master, because that mastery is basically mastering the movements of the sun so we can utilize navigation.
Mm-hmm. That's wow. Yes, good stuff, man. And it triggered my thoughts. I actually forgot to go into something for
My bad, brother.
No, that's good. No, because you actually triggered something. I'm actually going back. I meant to previous demonstration. I wanted to share how the brother Solomon, he came from a line. Okay, he came from this line of royalty, the Massinissa, which was a Numidian culture of Berbers. That's what I meant to get into earlier. Yeah. So thank you. Actually, thank you for this. So this gives you back to the Punic Wars, right? We were talking about the Punic Wars earlier. Back to the timeline. So this Morisco that was in Europe that ended up being the tutor and all this for the European Moors in their household, and this brother created Freemasonry, or that concept of waking up the Romans and the Slavs to this Moorish science. His bloodline was connected to these they say Numidian tribes, but they also say Carthaginian tribes, and they also say Phoenician tribes. What I wanted to highlight is how they keep talking about North Africa. Once again, we went over multiple times the last month, or I showed a map. When they say North Africa prior to World War I and World War II, because remember, it was no Middle East until that time, 1940-ish, Egypt, Israel, how people know it today, what they call North Africa today didn't exist, especially in BC time. So when we're talking about Northwest Africa at this time, we're talking about the Americas. That's one thing. Another thing, I'm talking about these coins. These are coins of King Massinissa, or coins of a Carthaginian head are coins of a Phoenician head of a political body called emperor or sultan or what have you. So now that I showed you that, we can go to this. Let's cross-reference that to this. Theory of Phoenician discovery in America. So when we're talking about discovery of America before Columbus, the Phoenicians were here before Columbus. The Semitic people, which we know is the Moors, we went into that, were here in America before Columbus, right? So when you cross-reference things for people, you can help them see like, oh, so the Moors were here before, that the commercial story. And the Moors are also Semitic people. Oh, and then these coins that they found in the Americas. Remember we talked about, I don't know if y'all, I think most of y'all was here when we went into, they found these coins in America that were Carthaginian coins. And some of them say like Roman coins, but we know the Carthaginian Empire transitioned to the Roman Empire after, they got some defeats. And but yeah, so I just wanted to share that. Any thoughts, statements, questions before we continue? And before I get into that, we was talking about the Elohim and the angels and how we're really talking about angles of lights or degrees of light that we get like fiber optics, communication from the planets to the humans to give them unique characteristics. So these messages of light are commercially called angels. They make it spooky, but it's just angles of light giving communication. So that was last week. We talked about that in that
Islam.
space. Islam. You got something, Lavelle? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I know I just popped in, so kind of a little late. You know, a lot of things, but I wanted to ask the question. So you saying like the archangels are the same as the planets? I'm confused. I'm just curious. You know what I mean, I just wanted
Yes.
to know like what do you mean?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, okay. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, the seven archangels are the seven ruler planets. Now,
Okay,
the
that's
seven,
all I
the
wanted to say.
set. Oh yeah, no, Islam. That's a good question. Um, and I'm gonna send you the recording from last week too, and the week before that. 'Cause we went extensive on that extensive topic. So now
Islam.
the seven archangels are also referred to as the seven Elohim, are also referred to as the seven eyes of Allah. Now, now that we know what an angel is, now when we go back to the lessons of the 101s, it'll make sense. What is an angel? An angel is a thought of Allah manifested in human flesh. What are angels used for? To carry messages to the four corners of the world, to all nations. So those messages, fiber optics, information. But what did we say the last couple of weeks? Your vibration got to be at a level to even tune in. Because just like the radio station, you got to tune in to
To even
certain
send.
frequencies to hear it. Yeah, you're not ready to receive if you got a certain vibratory state. You're not ready to tap in. But that doesn't mean the messages ain't being communicated. That's one thing, right? But so what is our prophet to us? He is an angel of Allah who sent to bring us the everlasting gospel. So now we're talking about men on this planet that have been documented to to tap in and use divine law and show how to use that having a cardinal experience. Back to the Chinatown, Koreatown, little Bangladesh thing. Anybody that's operating like that, where it's like the people are on the same page, they setting up structure, they have peace with each other, they know trust law, they they um they have order, they have culture. That is in harmony with divine law. That's why they're looking like they got peace on earth. That's why they're not getting terrorized by the police. Because it ain't the color of our skin. Because our brothers from the East, from Pakistan, East Africa, a lot of places that come over here don't be getting treated like gang members and stuff like that. They have peace because they work together and create an infrastructure. And as the months and years go on, they continue to building. 5, 6 years go by, you got wealth. You know what I mean? So It's not for the color of our skin we're getting depressed. So it was people that came along that we call prophets now, looking back. They were just letting you know the structure. Get back to the get back to the divine order, or you're gonna have hell on earth, connotatively speaking, right? Um, so that's really why I wanted to bring up the one-on-ones today, from this vein. If we were dealing with the Elohim and angels and light and messages and people that got the light historically and what they did with the light in great numbers. And we look back and call these people prophets. Messenger, prophet is a messenger, right? Messenger of the truth, messenger of the light. Uh, Used as a vessel, divinely prepared. Uh, Brother DL, peace and love, man. That's what I want to talk about today. Oh, so the treaty. We're bringing up the treaty to people. I like to bring it up as a treaty of amity and commerce when I talk about the, you know, the United States, how they got created. Um, you know, because when you say it like this, now you start saying, oh, Marrakesh and Morocco, because people like to act like I said, I hear all type of stuff from, different levels. But one of these things like that divides us is, oh, Morocco was something that got created by the French, is new. Marrakesh is ancient, as if it's two separate things. Like, so how I like to clear that up is, look, commercial agreements with the Empire of Morocco, 1786. Somebody was to look at this, oh, Morocco, Marrakesh is the same thing, but and Mauritania for that matter, but 1956 was called over there right now, and then 1786 was a long time ago. So the French thing that we're looking at in the Middle East wasn't in existent yet, but it was still a Moroccan, it was still a Marrakesh, right? So I like to use this and then go right to the treaty afterwards. And then go right to this one, 1786, ratified in 1787, and just go back, just further, we talk about the same thing, right? So now we're gonna get into the Sultans, now we're gonna get into George Washington, Thomas Barclay, all that space. And now people are more familiar with that. People know about the founding fathers, quote unquote, Boston Tea Party. You know, people were groomed in that. And they'll be like, oh, I didn't, now they're gonna, and it's from experience. They're gonna be like, oh, I didn't know it was this part of the history. They don't talk about, you know what I mean? And that's where we want the people to be at. So they'll be more willing to continue to be woken up. So I just wanted to bring that up. Uh, all right, so now we're dealing with, it's a book called The 12 Powers of Man. So this is dealing with a more of a metaphysical scope. Um, a lot of throughout this book, we're going to see how this brother is laying the foundation of what they call the 12 tribes of Israel in the Bible, and giving you a metaphysical lens and an internal lens. How do I look at that? So this is chapter 1. But before I start reading, any thoughts, statements, or anything?
Yeah, the picture you got on the screen is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship 1787. Is that what you reading, or you on the 12 Powers of Man?
On 12 Powers of Man. I was lagging. Okay, hold on. Okay, thank you for
Appreciate
that.
it.
Reshare. What about now?
I say I can't even see the screen, honestly. I just see.
Yeah, it says you starting to share screen, but it ain't popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did have it up a second ago.
Yeah. Now, anything?
I don't see anything.
Wow.
You might have to reload it.
Okay.
I do think worship is the best way to look at it. Because they show you empires that used to exist that may not exist no more.
I'll say that again.
I said I like treaties, like looking through treaties, because they show you what empires may or may not exist anymore because of border disputes. You know, when they absorb a land or they absorb a people or they absorb a territory, they have to secede. They have to like give it up. If they still alive, they can kill them, you know?
Right, right.
So I do like that.
Not to mention they took our names. So when we looking at names like French, understand at one time France was melanated, and it was the Franciscan Brotherhood that started to make changes and do stuff. Wasn't necessarily France. Wasn't necessarily the French as we look at it from a pale perspective. A lot of times these were the Franciscan Brotherhood operating as France or operating as the French. The same way we have these so-called Britons that came over here and decided to call themselves Americans, but they were actually British or part of the British nation. Whether they were Slavic or whatever, they were still part of that nation.
What's the screen looking like now? Can everybody see now?
Yeah, it says
Yeah.
the 12 powers of mind.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Excellent, man.
Excuse me.
I thought they banned me from sharing, man. I was like, this is crazy. All right.
I was like, Shadow Man already?
Yeah, this is crazy, man. All right, so we see in the visual, once again, we're gonna as we go through this book, we're gonna go through the whole book piece by piece over the weeks and stuff, but we're gonna see the author is laying a parallel on 12 tribes of Israel, how that's really metaphysical and symbolic for 12 chambers in the body, amongst other things. So let's look at this visual. I am Christ. We got will, faith, understanding, imagination, zeal, power, love. And remember, it's 12 power stations, and we have 12 um, systems like nervous system, um, reproductive system. You know, we have, and notice it's 12 zodiacs because all these correspond to the zodiac too. I am corresponds to Aries all day, right? Um, so I'm just, look at this from multiple lenses.
I have a question.
Hey, go ahead.
So if you look at the glyph of Earth, it's an exactness of energy corresponding to an exact frame and an exact human being at a specific time, at a specific moment, in a specific environment as well. What is the I know this is a broad sentence, but what is the purpose? Is it the refinement of the energy, or is it it's the mastery of it? But what does that mean practically?
Well, more importantly, knowing the energies that you're dealing with, knowing what is my composition, what is my structure. That's why we say know your chart. Because once you know that now you like, okay, now you can look at ways to balance yourself out for areas that you need balance. Because, like for me,
Because you
I
were
can get
talking about evolution. We're talking about evolution, and that like evolution in the material sense is like the refinement of objects, and then in the other sense, it's like an evolution. You said involution is like going back or back. I don't know how to describe
like
it,
you're
but
shrinking
you know what I
inward.
mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah, you
That's
know what I
last week's
mean.
lesson, man. Yeah, that's last week's lesson. I'm glad you brought it up like that, man. Yeah, man. We
But
talked about that, but that's
that's
the same thing with us.
what I meant.
Think about it. That's macro though, how planets and galaxies get created, right? But it's the same with
Yeah,
us when we're having this physical experience. That's why we read the Quran right after that. As man unfold, his God unfolds. We've already did the inward thing, the simple fact that we're in our grossest state. The fact that we can see each other and touch each other, we've descended to the carnal
yeah,
plane, right? So while we're having this carnal
yes,
experience, our thing is to evolve now. We want to reach our higher states of consciousness and tap in and do, you know, great things on the earth plane, humanitarian wise, and, you know, do genius things, create, build, and manifest on that level with other people of our national peers. And that's how we even created
yeah,
these empires in the first place. We're talking about empires and pyramid complexes and all these things that are left behind. These are signs and symbols of our ancestors that did great work and could unify. You know what an empire is? That's people on the same page. That's
yeah,
a lot of people willing to buy in and organize. And that's a sign that of divinity. You're more closer to divinity when you're moving like that. Of course, we know things happen with infighting. But it's better to have an empire than what it is right now. We have no unity at all. You know what I mean? So,
yes.
but yeah, you know what I'm saying? What
Thank
you
you,
feel?
sir. I appreciate
Yeah, man. Good questions, man. Uh, any other thoughts and statements before I pop off chapter one of 12 Powers of Man? Comments? All right, so we got chapter one, 12 Powers of Man. The subconscious realm in man has 12 great centers of action, the 12 presiding egos or identities. When Jesus Christ had attained a certain soul development, he called his 12 disciples to him. This means that when man is developing out of a mere personal consciousness into spiritual consciousness, he begins to train deeper and larger powers. He sends his thought down into the inner centers of his organism and through his word quickens them to life. Where, where before his powers have worked in the personal, now they begin to expand and work in the universal. This is the first and second coming of Christ spoken in the scriptures. The first coming is the receiving of the truth into the conscious mind, receiving the truth in the conscious mind. That's the first step. And the second coming is the awakening and the regeneration of the subconscious mind through the subconscious or the Christ mind. All right. So we get the information that wakes us up, right? Second coming of Christ. Second coming of Christ. See what we just did there for the people who made it real simple? Man expands and grows under divine evolution as a industrial plant grows. As the business expands, it is found that system is necessary, right? So we get the wisdom, we get this divine information, we get illuminated, we become the Yahudi. What's the next step? System is necessary. System, organization, right? Structure of what? Structure of what? Your own emotions, balance within yourself. And once you at a nice vibratory state and you got it all mastered, you got peace within, Now it's time to link up with your national peers that are on the same wavelength you're on. Why? To start businesses, community, learning institutions, estate planning, wealth. Why is that important? Oh, am I still, somebody said I'm breaking up, but hopefully everybody can hear me. Um, so as the business expands, it is found that system is necessary. Instead of one man being able to do the work with the assistance of a few helpers, he requires many helpers. Instead of a few helpers, he needs hundreds. In order to promote efficiency, he must have heads for the various departments of the work. I'm talking about what? Body politics, structure, right? Scripture, symbology calls the heads of the departments in man's consciousness the 12 disciplines. Of course, we're talking about internal right now, but it's still as above, so below, as within, so without. But we're talking internal. Each of these 12 department heads has control of a certain function in soul or body. Each of these heads work through an aggregation of cells that physiology call the ganglionic center. If y'all look up this right now, the ganglionic center, you're going to see that these are nerve centers in the body. Jesus, the I am, or central identity, has his throne in the top of the head, where phrenology locates spirituality. This is the mountain where he so often went to pray. So now we're breaking down allegory in the Bible. Whenever we're talking about he going to pray in the mountains, the mountaintop, any mountaintop reference? we going up here. We
He
going
at
up
the
here.
command center. That's what
He at
it means when
the
he go to the
command center.
mountaintop.
Yeah, to get illuminated, to become
Wow.
one. See what we doing for the people? See how we making it simple for the people? That's all we're trying to do. Be good ambassadors. So the following outline gives a list of the 12 disciples, the faculties that they represent, and the nerve centers at which they preside. Let's look at a couple. Faith, embodied in the character Peter, center of the brain. We're dealing with the center of the brain. Strength, character Andrew, dealing with the loins. Now we got discernment or judgment, character in the Bible. And then we're dealing with the pit of the stomach, dealing with love, character in the Bible, dealing with the back of the heart. Power, character in the Bible, dealing with the root of the tongue. Imagination, Bartholomew, character in the Bible, dealing with the area between the eyes. Understanding, dealing with the character in the Bible. Thomas, dealing with the front of the brain. We got willpower or will, character in the Bible. Matthew, embodying the center front brain. Order, etc. Zeal, dealing with Simeon the Canaanite, or the area of the body, back of the head, or the medulla. Pronunciation or elimination, character in the Bible. Thaddeus, part of the body, abdominal region. Okay. So life conserver, Judas, generative function. The physiological designations of these faculties are not arbitrary. The names can be expanded or changed to suit a broader understanding of their full nature. For example, Philip at the root of the tongue governs taste. He also controls the action of the larynx, as well as all vibrations of power throughout the organism. So the term power expresses but a small part of his official capacity. The first disciple that Jesus called was Peter. Peter represents faith in things spiritual, faith in God. We begin our religious experience, our unity with divine mind, by having faith in that mind as omnipresent, all wise, all loving, and all powerful spirit. All right, so it all starts in the mind. The vision, right? The vision, all plans start as a vision. But to carry it out, you got to have faith in your vision, right? Whether it be a business you starting, rather, community building, whatever it may be, it starts as a vision. You got to take the steps, right? Faith in the spiritual man quickens spiritual understanding. Peter believed that Jesus was the Messiah. His faith opened his spiritual discernment, and he saw the living Christ back of the personal mask worn by Jesus. When asked, when do men say that the Son of Man, another brother in, when do men say that the Son of Man is? The disciples, looking upon personally as the real, said, some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah, and others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. Then Jesus appealed to their own inner spiritual understanding, and he said, but who say ye that I am? Only Simon Peter answered, O thou the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered, thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it. I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Spiritual discernment of the reality of man's origin and being is the only enduring foundation of character. It was to this faith and the understanding of the real being of man that Jesus gave power in earth and heaven. It was not to the personal Peter that Jesus gave the keys to his kingdom, but to all who, though through faith, apply the binding, affirming, and loosening power of spirit in the earth. Right here and now, the great work of character building is to be done. And whoever neglects present opportunities, looking forward to a future heaven or better conditions, is pulling right away from the kingdom of heaven himself. So let's analyze what is Yahshua saying here. One, be present. Two, it's about tapping into your subconscious, reaching a higher state of consciousness. And three, the reason he's asking the question, like, because the brother said he listed all these prophets, and Yahshua was saying, who am I? You just listed all these people, but who am I though? I'm just a man just like them, doing great work. So he's implying that what I can do, you could do. Stop putting me on the pedestal, like making it seem like I'm just the creator of the heavens and the earth and all this. I'm just a vessel. I'm just a vessel that got the light from the Elohim to do great work. I tapped in, and I'm here to give instructions to our people that has not tapped in yet and are doing carnal things. But we all can do the great work. Better conditions. People who live wholly in the intellect deny that man can know anything but God because they do not have quickened faith. The way to bring forth the God presence to make oneself conscious of God is to say, I have faith in God. I have faith in spirit. I have faith in things invisible. Such affirmations of faith, such praise to the invisible God, the unknown God, will make God visible to the mind and will strengthen the faith faculty. In this way, the faith discipline, what Peter represents, is called an instructed spirituality. When a center loses his power, it should be baptized by the word of spirit. So, baptized by the truth. People lose faith in what they're doing. It's typically because they don't believe in it. They're not confident. They think like, why, you know what? What's the point of doing this? Right? So now you might have other people that are on the same mission as that person, but a little more optimistic. They need to hear from that person. They need to hear from. They need to hear optimistic people, so they can get charged up again. That's what it is. Some people is like that, but that's why we're a brother's keeper because you know if we can
Faith
continue
is
and stay.
real.
Yeah.
You're right. It's oh my bad, my bad. I just got happy.
No,
Sorry.
I need to hear that. I need to hear what you're about to say. I need to hear it,
Well, I
man.
was gonna say because I was just gonna comment on like faith being a real faculty that is a faculty, meaning that it's an actual like what do you say? It's an actual like if you were to use like the gym analogy, like you could get in the gym and exercise the faculty of faith. Like he's saying, like is a power. Like even like I was like, let's just say I've had experiences where faith it wouldn't have been possible without faith. And like that's just it. Without faith, it wouldn't have worked.
Mhm.
But when faith is included, something that wouldn't have worked now works.
Mhm.
That's as simple as I could say it. With my
Yeah,
experience with that faculty, that's all.
yeah, yeah. You know, um. So when this, what I was at, so we are told in the scriptures that Philip went down to Gaza and there baptized a eunuch. Gaza means a citadel of strength. It refers to the nerve center of the loins, where Andrew reigns. Lo, now his strength is in his loins. Gaza is the physical throne of strength, as Jerusalem is the throne of love. So we have metaphysical, we're actually, exactly, faith without works is dead. So now we're taking these one-liners in these holy books and really bringing it to life on how we can be use this with application in our everyday life, you know, versus just be, we're just these devout people that know the Bible. And we're just saying little statements, just, you don't even really get what the book is saying. But now we're getting into it more in depth. We're getting into a more metaphysical space. Because remember, it's anthropomorphic. There's a lot of things going on in the Bible. You got real timelines and events and real people and real tribes and civilizations. You got things that are symbolic dealing with planets in different seasons. You got uh coordinates, you know what I mean? You're dealing with the internal body, right? A lot of things at play. For example, since I gotta bring this up, since I'm talking about it like this, what did we look at earlier? Just to show you. We looked at this earlier, and last week when we brought this up, didn't we bring up a Bible verse before we went into that? I'm telling you, we lost it. Wow. But remember we looked about the three in the east. Oh, here we go. So this Bible verse right here, in Revelations, is an example of what I'm talking about. I felt compelled to bring this up again. Revelation 21:13. There were three gates in the east, three on the north, three in the south, and three in the west. What were we analyzing earlier? Over the M of Islam, three in the north, three in the west, three in the east. That's what the Bible's talking about. This is in the Bible. So this is what I mean by um, you know, we're knowing the holy books, but from a different vantage point than just the norm that most of our brothers that are Christian or whatever. We're sharing stuff from their stuff. They'll be less combative once you show them stuff in their Bible. Or devout Christian brothers and sisters, show them stuff in their Bible and make correlations for them. Brother DL, peace and love, man. All right, so the back grows weaker under the burden of material thought. If you are given to pains in your back, if you become exhausted easily, you may know at once that you need treatment for freedom from the material burdens. Eliminate from your mind all thoughts of the burdens of the world, the burdens of your life, and all the seeming labors. Take your burdens to Christ. Come unto me, all ye that labor are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. But now when we look at this, we're looking at it different, right? Meditate. Go back, get in the head and meditate. Yoga, breathe. Get to a relaxed state. Channel in. So all that tension in your back is straightened out. Go within, go to the Christ, right? Go a different perspective. We are pressed upon by ideas of materiality. Thoughts make things, and material ideas that are pressing upon us are just substantial. In the realm of mind, as material things are substantial in the realm of matter, everything has origin in thought, and material thoughts will bring forth material things. Material thoughts will bring forth material things. So now, if your thought process is like unbalanced, you stressing, unbalanced, you stressing, you pessimistic, what happens in the physical? My back hurts, my neck hurts, right? You can't you can't shake it. You know what I mean? So,
You're right.
right. Peace and love to Michael Hickman and G93 and I think I got everybody. So that's what we mean when we're saying everything has origin in thought, and material thoughts will bring forth material things. You should baptize and cleanse with your spiritual word every center, as Philip baptized the eunuch at Gaza. Baptism is cleansing. It always represents erasing power of the mind. So that's back to transmutation now. So baptizing is not you getting dunked in the water, putting your feet in the water, jumping in the pool of water. It's when you get the truth, when you get the truth and you didn't know the truth before, what that's going to do is change your old thought processes. It's going to wash away your old way of thinking. Now you just been baptized. You've just been baptized. When the baptizing power of the word is poured upon a center, it cleanses all material thought. Impotence is vitalized. Now it's potent with new life. And the whole subconsciousness is awakened and quickened. The word of the Lord is there sown in the body. And once the word of the Lord is sown in any of these centers, the cells of which are like blank phonographic records, they take the thought that is given them and send it through the whole organism. I'm talking about messages. So think about this macro micro situation. We get like fiber optics, we get messages from the seven Elohim, the seven planets in the Milky Way. We get these messages. Now internally, hey, can we please mute? Can we please mute whoever's you ain't even let me mute him.
Slapping the cheeks.
Let me see if I can mute him.
Hold up.
Hey, every time they ain't even let me. Brother Hickman, if you could please mute your mic, Brother Hickman.
It's clean.
Who else is in here? It's not letting me mute him. I'm trying. Okay. So we got the macro, micro. We got, like I said, like fiber optics. We have energies that we can tap into from the planets. Now, internally, we got the neurotransmitters, which are we send messages by having a thought. Like we give our hand, we give our hand a command to move our fingers. That's a back. We back now. I have to switch to the Wi-Fi. My
Okay,
phone.
yeah. You was talking
Yeah,
about the fiber optics.
yeah,
Sounds
man.
much better.
Much better.
Okay.
Okay, we back. Okay. Yeah, we had an interruption too. I think with Brother Hickman.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Pull up the screen again. Let me share the screen. Now I do hear background noise. Let me see.
Sorry, that was me.
Okay. All right. So I believe where I left off, we're dealing with the macro, micro, the seven archangels, the seven Elohim, the seven ruling planets gives us signals that we can tap into, give us our character, our impulses, our temperament. And then so on the micro level, we have the brain that gives commands called neurotransmitters, and they're electrical signals. That's why we need electrolytes. Everybody keeps promoting, oh, you need electrolytes. Because what they're saying is you need stuff that help you have faster brain functions, your thoughts, your commands will move faster, right? So that's what I was getting at. The as above, so below aspect of that. Okay, I think we did the baptism. We know what baptism means. We went through that demonstration. Getting baptized with the truth, washing out your old thoughts. You just been dunked in the water. That's the same thing. Where we leave off. I believe where the Lord, okay, yeah, the word of the Lord is there sown in the body. And once the word of the Lord is sown in any of these centers, the cells of which are like blank phonographic records, they take, oh, yeah, I read that already. So basically, it's a blank canvas. So once you tap into a new space, now it's a blank canvas. So now you can actually recreate patterns for yourself, habits for yourself. So the baptism of strength goes to the uttermost parts of the body, and every one of the 12 disciples under divine law feels a new strength. James, the son of Zebedee, represents discernment and good judgment in dealing with substantial things. James is the faculty in man that wisely chooses and determines. It may be in the matter of food. It may be in the matter of judgment about relation of external forces. It may be in choosing of a wife or husband. In 1,000 different ways, this faculty is developed in man. The spiritual aspect of the James faculty is intuition, quick knowing. James and John are brothers, and Jesus called them sons of thunder. These are Bible references. These brothers preside over the great body brain called the solar plexus or sun center. So now we got characters in the Bible that are symbolic for bodies and areas of the body. James has his throne at the pit of the stomach, and John just the back of the heart. They are unified by bundles of nerves and are metaphysically closely related. Whatever affects the stomach will sympathetically affect the heart. Whatever affects the stomach will sympathetically affect the heart. People with weak stomachs nearly always think that they have heart trouble. That's funny. Jesus Christ called those two disciples sons of thunder because of the tremendous vibrations or emotions that go forth from the solar plexus. When your sympathies are aroused, you will find that you begin to breathe deeply and strongly. And if you are very sympathetic, you can feel the vibrations as they go out to the person or thing to which you are directing your thought. All fervor or high energies that come from the soul pass through these centers. Bartholomew represents the imagination. The imagination has a center of action directly between the eyes. This is the point of expression for a set of tissues that extend back into the brain and connect with an imagining or picture making function near the root of the optic nerves. So we're dealing with expression. So we're making a frown. All this gets wrinkled up in here. But remember, you're giving yourself a thought which relates to your expression. So if you having your thoughts, I'm angry. Internally, man, I'm saying I'm angry. I'm angry right now. Your physical demeanor will reflect your inner, right? Because you're gonna have a face that corresponds to how you feeling internally, right? So people outside of you can see what's going on internally with you. No matter what you say, oh, what's wrong with you? Oh, nothing. But you frowning, right? All right, so through this faculty, you can project an image of things that are without or ideas that are within. For instance, you can project the image of jealousy to any part of your body, and by the chemistry of thought combined with function, make your complexion yellow, or you can imagine and project beauty by thinking goodness and perfection for anybody. Bartholomew is connected directly with the soul and has great power in the pictures of the mind. Jesus saw him under a fig tree, a long way off before he was visible to the natural eye. Do not imagine anything but good, because under the law of thought combined with substance, it will sooner or later come into expression, unless you head it off, eliminate it by denial. So that's why it's always good to have determination, optimistic, faith. But remember, before we got into these steps, it started with what? Imagination. Imagination or idea or a thought. You brainstorming. This could happen, right? You don't give up. You don't eliminate the process by denial and saying, oh man, you know what? It was a good idea, but man, I thought about it and somebody gonna take my idea. So there's 1,000 people doing the same thing I'm thinking of. This is useless. Like, you know what I mean? You can't get into that space. Can't get into it. Just make it happen. Man has faculties of elimination as well as appropriation. If you know how to handle them, you can expel error from your thought body. The denial discipline of Thaddeus, residing in the abdominal region, the great renunciator, or the mind of the body. All the faculties are necessary to perfect expression of the man. Some is despised or unclean. Some have been misunderstood through ignorance. Man has called them mean until they act in that way and cause him pain and sorrow. The elimination by Thaddeus of the waste of the system through the lower bowels is a very necessary function. So now that's physical and metaphysical. Because if we eat something, we're eliminating through the bowels what we don't need, what the body doesn't need, what doesn't serve the body is not nutritional. We're going to eliminate that. When you get baptized, you're getting rid of old ways, right? That's metaphysical, physical, both connected, right? Let me look. I think I'll stop right there with this piece. What's everybody's thoughts on this book so far? Or what we're talking about in general?
I think this is cold. This book is cold. I like this.
Yes, thank you. Love it.
Right. Um, it was
I'm still
something.
learning. I'm still learning. I'm still optimistic. I'm still learning. I just got here, so it's a little bit up in the air for me.
Insightful. Okay. Insightful.
I have
Okay.
one more question. This will probably be my last question. Sure. When they say you said as above, so below. When they say like when you organize into a certain state, where you find like-minded individuals who also have accumulation of light or willing to be in the light, um, do they form a body in law? So does that law get stepped down into the physical? Like, they say you're your brother's keeper, like someone's eyes. You know, even when you have a getaway driver, they doing a little heist or whatever. One person's the eyes, one person's the one who's the technology guy who opened the door, and then the leader who the mastermind, et cetera, et cetera. Um, do like even Jesus when he has his faculty, he's as I don't say faculty, the Last Supper image, or he has all of the basically powers laid out, and they're like doing their thing. It's like chaos, but all of them are functionally orders, in a specific part of the body. Um, the as above, so below, it's an absolute principle, correct? It's immutable.
Yeah. Yeah. And then why it's in harmony with divine law is the fact that we're organized and working with each other. Like no matter how we structure it, I mean, of course, not I gonna say no matter how we structure it, but as long as it's humanitarian, it's honorable, any type of organizations that we show unity as Moors is divine because the fact that we have love, there's love involved, and we understand the big picture. Um, that's going to propel what we're doing. So the universe will bestow gifts upon us
Right.
as we continue, galvanizing the way we are. You know,
I had a question, or just a clarity. I would say, the like the John, or the names that you were referencing to, these are names that are in the Bibles, but that correlate to feelings in the body. Still, am I understanding that correctly? As far as what you said, reference your Bibles.
oh yeah, they're referencing different chambers in the body, different systems. Like you have the respiratory system, you have the involuntary systems. So like when you're asleep, you're not telling yourself to inhale, exhale. You kind of do it automatically. That's like an involuntary. You got
Right.
you have the secretionary glands, um, and these are different systems in the body. You have the chambers of the brain. So each area of the body, like for example, where we say "I am the Christ."
Mm-hmm.
When you say "I am," we're dealing with Aries. We're dealing with the head. We're dealing with the constellation of Aries and with the characteristics of Mars. Um, you're dealing with Mars. Then you come down. Um,
Yeah, reference somebody like when you frown, like behind your eyes or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that example was I was saying if you have an internal feelings,
Mm-hmm.
it's typically going to show on your vessel, and you
Okay.
might frown, you might show an expression, a frown or something like that.
Like the as below, with or above,
As
so
within.
below. Like you yeah, as within, without. You can't
Yeah,
you
that's
can't
as
hide how
within.
you feeling.
Yeah, that's as within without right there with that one. Because within, it's only going to show. You can't hide it. A piece of love, an indigo. Um,
Okay, yeah, I think or definitely. I just want I'm interested. I want to hear more because I'm trying to
and everybody get this book too. Everybody should get
understand
this.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, everybody should order this book too.
the 12
So,
powers of
On the
man,
list
right?
for sure, because this one's called it's a nice translation to like the Christian, the Christian Bible that is common and mainstream. to let you know the metaphysical truths quicker. You know, I like that.
Can I ask a question?
Well, yeah, go ahead. Brother.
Me just listening to it, I think I have an idea. I think I told JB that I went to Church Scientology. I used to work for Church Scientology way back in the day. Similar, not the same. Not the same. The only difference is you're basically breaking it down into, since you are Christ, since you are a Christian first, or whatever belief system that you believe in, because you call yourself I am Christ. I think you're breaking it down into a Christian mindset before anything else. Am I correct? Like you're Christian first, but then your body has the temple of love and understanding. You're your own self first. Am I correct?
Yeah, so Christ will be the activation
Right.
of self
Right.
to be in tune with yourself to master it. But
Right.
once you know yourself, now you're gonna see what things about yourself you need to tweak. You know,
Okay.
now you start developing and working on yourself. Now you got peace within.
Okay.
But when you say Christ, so Jesus and Christ is two concepts. You know, Yahshua ben Yosef was an actual man that has a
Oh yeah, yeah.
genealogy. You know, he has a genealogy that go back to Ruth the Moabitess. So that he was just a more letting everybody know, like, stop your Roman ways, get back to the ancient culture of how we conducted ourselves. Stop the low vibrational activity. Now, Christ is a concept that could go back earlier. You know, are the Moors that were part of the Hindustani Moors that you know, Krishna would be in the older holier books, and Krishna is a deity that represents activation of the Christ, as a pineal gland or opening your third eye. So what happened after the Nicene Council? I think you just tapped in just now, but we covered a timeline. And matter of fact, I think I'll bring it back up where we see the Bible was remixed by the Roman
Roman,
Emperor
yeah.
Constantine.
I studied that. That was the beginning. This is around the Mexican era. So the Mexican time, people that know that Mexican, this was their city in California, because our people is not from here. People's from the motherland and all that other country. So we doesn't really count for this. We come from a whole different, this is not even our city. But because it's been changed from Mexico to America, it's a girl name. I study a lot on it. I study like every week on this type of stuff. So I know for a fact that some of the Constitution, some of the stuff that you're reading, it goes so farther back in centuries way before the world was even created. So now we tapping into a bigger stage. Because what you're reading, I like it. I love it. I love the constitutional state of what you're teaching. Because nobody teaches this stuff. It's very hard because some people are saying it's Church Scientology. No, this Church Scientology copied off of that. That's where you get the delusions and all that other stuff that comes from. That they copied off of that. So what you're teaching is really, really good. I love it.
Yeah, and so I appreciate it. But the scope of, I guess, when I bring up the demonstration of Christ and how they merged it as Jesus Christ, that began right here. So after murdering Prophet Yahshua ben Yosef in 325 AD, the Roman Emperor Constantine called for the Council of Nicaea, which authorized the Roman clergy by vote to change Yahshua's name to Jesus Christ, representing the peace and justice Yahshua taught. Jesus means justice. And the degree of knowledge, what is degree of knowledge or truth? Light activation of the pineal gland, Krishna. So Krishna will be the Christ degree of activation of the pineal gland, activation of the Jewel or the Jew. So he had reached the level of the crown chakra, which that's what the halo represents in ancient paintings, represents a person that activated the crown chakra level. And he brought a recipe, because remember, our people fell from grace. We started doing low vibrational activity. So he came with a manuscript and to get back straight. But what happened is they twisted our brother's story and made him like, oh, he's really God. He's the creator of the heavens and the earth. and he died for our sin. Like they kind of twisted it to make it spooky. That's kind of what happened, but he's simply doing the work that we're doing. And I'm not sure if you know any background about the Moors and things like that. I'm not sure what the brother.
I do. I do. So I try not to go into that because it's a lot to take in, and I have to go back and break it all down to understand it because it's a lot to take in that one. That one is, I hadn't really mastered that and really understood that. I didn't really even go that deep because when you got into it, it's like it messed my head up. So I kind of backed away from that.
So
But I know about the Moors.
What I do want to do, since I wanted to kind of purge, it's our first time meeting, but
Mm-hmm.
I do want to do a quick summary before I read the piece of literature, the Silent Brotherhood of the East, and then we're going to close out. But I do want to give a summary of some things just to show you real quick. So let's approach it like this. Let's read a House resolution. What I'm reading, you can go to the mayor's office of Chicago, the mayor's office of South Carolina, the mayor's office of North Carolina, the state level we're reading of Georgia, amongst other municipalities. The same verbiage. So this one was the state level of Georgia. So recognizing January 8th to the 15th, 2014 as Moorish American Holy Week at the state capitol and for other purposes, whereas the Moorish Americans whose ancient forefathers are the mothers and fathers of the human family stand in these days as a comedy of the descendants from the ancient Moabites and Canaanites who were permitted by the old pharaohs of Kemet to traverse from East Africa and later form kingdoms extending from the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa and the Atlantic islands unto the present-day continental Americas. And whereas the Moorish American are teaching their people their true nationality and divine creed, that they may become better citizens and know that they are not Negroes, colored folk, black people, nor Afros, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865. In this era of time, all nations are seeking peace. The indigenous Moorish peoples of the Americas are now united to link themselves with the family of nations, whereas the Moorish Americans, being aboriginal to the territories of North, Central, and South America, have formed a sovereign theocratic government and guided by the command principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice through the virtue of the universal right to self-determination, as well with the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, that the UN version and the OAS version of the Rights of Indigenous People, Organization of American States version, and the Charter of the United Nations. And whereas on January 8th, 1886, Noble Drew Ali was born in the state of North Carolina and became the first patriot of his Moorish American people in 1912 was anointed El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali by the heads of Egypt and the holy city of Mecca to return to the United States as the last prophet and the founding father of the newly risen Moorish Americans. So that's one thing I want to read. You can use this as an exhibit in court, and it's laying the foundation of how Moors are Aboriginal, not to the human family, but to the Americas. That's because that's where we happen to be. We're in America right now, so we want to show people who the original American, who was the people here before the Pilgrims, who was the people here before the 13 colonies that the French and the British called Indian. Who were these people really? We want to let our people know what was really going on because we're getting history from the lens of a colonist. That's why our people were confused on history and law. So let's read some more law. Congressional Globe. This was on the House Representatives Friday, January 3rd, 1845, dealing with the annexation of Texas. What's the annexation of Texas dealing with? Before it was Texas, it was Mexico. It wasn't always called Texas. That's new. Texas is new on the block. So let's read this Library of Congress or congressional record that you can get a certified copy of and use as exhibit in court to assert political status on why you're not a minority and not Black, Negro, color, Latino, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Indian, Native American, how you're a Moor. Let's read what this says. The stupendous desert between the Nueces and Bravo rivers are the natural boundaries between the Anglo-Saxon and Mauritanian races. There ends the Valley of the West. There Mexico begins. Thence, beyond the Bravo, begin the Moorish people and their Indian associates, to whom Mexico properly belongs. So this is equivalent to a court case. This is something that's in law, international in scope, to show reference on who the. I just showed you two pieces of reference. I have a plethora. I just showed you two to designate you that we say indigenous American is not Indian. That's not proper. This never was called India. This is not India. Because so therefore it was never Indians, but it was Moors here that were called Indian, Black, Negro, colored by the British, French, Dutch, Irish, etc., conquistadors, etc. K through 12, that's what you're going to be taught, that you got shit from somewhere else and not Aboriginal indigenous to the land under your feet. On top of the fact, the pyramids in the Americas are built in BC time. The pyramids over there got built 1800, 1700, something like that. That's new. That's a new jurisdiction, which would show that the civilizations of the planet were older over here. But remember, what they call Africa fit like a puzzle piece under Florida and South America. So it was all Pangea. It was all the land of Mu. It was all Atlantis. But Northwest Africa, because remember, Africa, taken to the Latin, means terra, just means the whole world. Northwest Africa will be today the Americas. Southeast Africa will be what they're calling commercially Africa. And then the Freemasonic twist is to tell you, you got shit from over there and brought here. That's the Freemasonic twist that they're trying to keep from you. So the reason we're having these, institutions of learning is so our people can know world history. All right. So now let's go to Congressional Globe. And let's go to Article 13. Article 13, Section 12 of the Constitution. Even if you think you're African, like that. I just broke down that thing. But even if you think you got shifted from Africa, the trafficking slaves with Africa are hereby forever forbidden by pain and death or forfeiture. Right? Now it says descendants of Africans shall not be citizens of what? The United States. So we were never, the United States, we were never meant to be citizens of that. Why? Because we were already here and we had our own structures and empires. Okay, so now that would make sense when we're dealing with the treaty, right? That's one of the treaties. One of the treaties. Treaty of Peace and Friendship between Morocco and the United States, right? Who was Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Barclay? Who was he addressing? The Sultan of Morocco, the Emperor of Morocco. Moor is short for Moroccan. He was dealing with an elected official of Moors in America, which we call a sultan or an emperor. If it was a woman, we call it a sultana. Sometimes we call it a caliph or a khalifa. Sometimes we say a sharif, emir, pharaoh, depending on what time period that we're talking about. These were head officials of our governmental structure, right? When they talk about the ancient Egyptian pharaohs, Nefertiti, they're talking about American pharaohs. Queen Khalifa, an American pharaoh, loosely referred to as a Berber, Amazon warrior, right? But she's a Moor, the Moabites, right? That's where California gets his name. I wanted to show you one more thing dealing with the Delaware Code. And why? Before I bring that up, let's go to the. I want to something caught my mind when we're dealing with human rights. I brought this up before, but Article 1 pops it off by saying what? A brotherhood. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They're endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. So having a community and a brotherhood is considered human. If you're not doing that, you're not even considered human. All right. And of course, since we added, we might as well, because now we're talking about international law. Article 15, everyone has a right to a nationality. Black, Negro, colored, Hispanic, Latino, Puerto Rican, and Indian are not nationalities. Those are misnomers given by European colonists. So I'm hoping this demonstration, I gotta do the El Yaga demonstration. So back to, I just did the annexation of Texas dealing with Mexico. Let's look at a national Mexican hero. You see this man? If you see this man walking down the street, you're going to call him Black, Negro, colored, African American. No, no, no. He's the original Mexican. He was known as a Mexican hero for fighting off the Spaniards in the 1500s. In the 1500s, it was people that looked like me fighting off the conquistadors in Mexico. Look up El Yanga. You're not saying he was shipped off a boat from Africa. You know he been here. We were fighting off the foreigners. 1570. This is before anything was called 13 colonies. Anything was called Jamestown, because I was 1600s. So we need to know this information. We need to know this information. What's this information do? That unites blacks and Latinos today in real time, right now. School system ain't teaching this. So I wanted to share that little summary for the brother. And that was just a summary, man. It's other stuff I can get into, but I want to just do because you know, I'm pretty sure you're a blank canvas to a lot of the information that I presented to you. But the whole point of these structures, we need brothers like yourself. We need brothers and sisters to come and galvanize and get this information, clear their nationality and unite with the people. Let's start setting up businesses. Let's build a rapport. Let's link up. Let's uplift all humanity. Right? Back to Chinatown, Koreatown, Little Bangladesh, etc. That's what it needs to look like for our people. We don't have that. Why don't we have that? The lack of knowing history and law. We don't know how things went down. We're arguing over religion. We're arguing over the stuff that don't matter. Get your culture, link up with people that own that same type of time, and let's galvanize. Let's do missionary work, do events, think of entrepreneur ideas for each individual member. Let everybody promote each other's business. Right. And every Sunday is like I say, I always say it's the dojo. These platforms are to get sharp on history and law related things. So we can become ambassadors and speak to the public and bring them to the circle. So we can keep getting bigger and bigger. Now it's time for economics. Any thoughts, questions, statements on anything, actually?
Yeah. Hey, Islam Mafia, this is Larry Bay.
What's on, Larry Bay?
Yeah. Hey, yeah. I was gonna mention to the brother that you was giving the demonstration to. Tell him to just reach into his pocket and pull out a $1 bill, and that should tell you everything right there. You have the pyramid on the left side, and then you have the United States seal on the right. Now, what's interesting, why would they have a pyramid on the $1 bill? There's no pyramids in Europe. Think about that. There's no pyramids in Europe. So what is that pyramid representing? It's representing the Moorish nation, the Moorish Empire. Also, keep this in mind that whenever you see two seals, the seal on the left is the host nation. The seal on the right is the subordinate or the submissive seal. So when you look at a U.S. dollar, a $1 Federal Reserve note, a fiat Federal Reserve note, you would notice that the empire is on the left and the submissive nation is on the right. Always keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I yield.
Islam. Can everybody see the divine warning screen, or is it still showing the other screen? Does it say divine warning by the prophet in green on the top? What's my screen sharing right now? Is it sharing anything? Everybody hear me?
I see the
Yeah, I'm
divine
seeing
one.
the divine warning.
Directly with his pyramid. So with the brother Larry Bay was talking about, here's an example for the brother. He's talking about this pyramid, and then like back a dollar bill, it's going to show this. But this one actually got the feds. The one on the Federal Reserve note is going to have the hex alpha, basically, as above, so below over the eagle. It's not going to have this feds. But it's basically representing the same thing in its expression. So I was going to close out. I was going to read this, close out in prayer. But before I do that, I want to do one round for any type of thoughts, statements, questions on any level. Okay. So we have, this is the Silent Brotherhood of the East. We're on chapter 4. Yahshua talks with the rabbi of the Ten Commandments. Now, Rabbi Barshia of Nazareth and Yahshua, the son of Yusuf, and Mary met. The rabbi was aid in teaching the son. One morning after service in temple, Yahshua, he sat in silent thought. The rabbi said to Yahshua, which is the greatest of the Ten Commandments? And Yahshua said, I do not see the greatest of the Ten Commandments. I see a gold cord that runs through all the Ten Commandments, that binds them fast and makes them one. This cord is love, and it belongs to every cord, every word of all the Ten Commandments. If one is full of love, he does not need commands of any kind. Let that sink in. If one is full of love, you don't need the commandments. You don't need to take oaths. You just go act right. And Rabbi Barshia said, your words are seasoned with salt of wisdom that is from above. Who is the teacher who has opened up this truth to you? And Yahshua said, I do not know any teacher opened up this truth for me. It seems to me that truth was never shut, that it was always opened up. For truth is one and it is everywhere. And if we open up the windows of our minds, the truth will enter in and make herself at home. For truth can find her way through any crevice, any window, any door. The rabbi said, what hand is strong enough to open up the windows and the doors of our minds so truth can enter? And Yahshua said, it seems to me that love, the golden cord that binds the Ten Commandments, is one. It's strong enough to open any human door so that truth can enter in and cause the heart to understand. Now in the evening, Yahshua and his mother sat alone, and Yahshua said, the rabbi seems to think that Allah is partial in his treatments to the Son of Men, that Jews are favored and blessed above all other men. I do not see how Allah can have favorites and be just. Are not the Samaritans and the Greeks and Romans just as much the children of the Holy One as the Jews? I think the Jews have built a wall about themselves, and they see nothing on the other side of it. They do not know the flowers are blooming over there, that sowing time belongs to anyone but the Jews. It surely would be well if we could break these barriers down so that the Jews might see that Allah has other children that are just as greatly blessed. I want to go from Jewry land and meet my kin in other countries of my fatherland. So we have, Aslan, brother Ombe. So we have a chapter. Of course, when we read any holy book, we're talking about character and principle-based chapters and verses. So you can apply this to we can apply this to our everyday life. So most people know about the Ten Commandments in one way. We're looking at it in a different way. It's all about the love. That's the moral to the story. Love your brother. Love knowledge. Love building with your people. Love uniting the people. If you got that type of love, like you got that type of passion, it's going to translate in the work that you do physically. What are you willing to do to unite the people? All right. So everybody has the opportunity to reach salvation. You know, it's really within, but us as people that are a little bit ahead of the curve, back to the whole brothers keepers thing, we can assist and point and direct. And let's face it, a lot of this information is not really out there. People not, so when we get the light, it's our job to, do missionary work, let people know we exist, how they can come tap in and learn about their nationality and birthrights and be part of forming a community. They didn't know that there's options out here to go about that. We exist. All right, so I'm gonna close out in prayer. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my God, and my salvation. By night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Amen. Islam. So this concludes the meeting. I'll stay on for a little bit if anybody wanted to kind of build on anything or whatnot.